Welcome to step 17. Very much like 16 in this part. And this part over here is a lot of PE. So let's dig into it real quick. Get my glue out and we can start working on getting that PE in. And I did find out how to mount that foot. So the problem with the foot in step 16 was cleaning up the flash of all things that was there. So if you look on the back of part R19, there are these 2 points. There was some flash here and here and on here, and so when you pushed it up next to the trailer, it would not fit. So once I cleaned that up, it fits just fine. So just, again, it's a copy of what was done with in step 16. This time, what I'm going to do is put the glue on the part, put this like so, and as I said when I did 16, these handles, even though they look like they should hang from gravity, the gearing inside there's a lot of grease and a lot of other factors involved, meaning that these stick in place. These are not easy to turn. I've worked with a lot of them. Even if these are well greased feet, these handles stick where they stop. I have yet to meet one that is so loose that it would flop around like what you might expect. Again, go with this, and all you have to do is square up the shaft with the edges here so that it's not, like I was saying before, you're not going to find a foot that's at a 45 degree. It's going to be square up with it. Huh. I should probably set that up right. I didn't think about that. There you go. My apologies. Well, you got to see some of what I was doing, but you don't need to see my stomach sticking out. Anyway, so like I said, just take the foot. Now, it is possible that over time the feet do get not square, but we tend to get a little excited about that when that happens because you don't want to place the weight of the feet incorrectly. That usually leads to problems. Nobody likes problems. While we're waiting for that to dry, we can fold this up. And again, it's the same. Start by folding it in. You want to fold it into the cut. And I'm doing this one this way because it's the important cut, or the important bend, but it's not going to get, I'm doing it 90 degrees, but I'll be bending it back. I just wanted to set that up. So what I want to do is, oh, there we go. Give you an idea. Put that up there. Okay, it's not enough. That looks pretty good. And then using the larger one, I can just bend it to about the right angle. Check it out. Looks pretty good. The important thing is that it's square at the end. So you might need to do a little bit more of one angle, a little bit less of another until you get it to where it's flat. That's what they're aiming for with that. That's what we did with the other one. So it's going to look more like a little bit wider. There. I believe that has it right there. Fortunately, it's got the cut on that side. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Same one goes up against the side, which you can't see right at the moment. Yep, goes just fine. Now I'll take a little bit of super glue. Put that in where the reflector will go. I'm going to take my forceps and carefully place it, because I'm going to have basically one shot at this, like so. And clean up around the edge. So that's done. If I can get it off my finger. That's done. These are ready to go here. We want to fold this into a box shape, like what it shows there. Basically, with this I can do it this way. Again, folding it into itself, folding it into itself. There's that. This piece right here, and I left this like this so I could do this with you. So I cut this off the sprue. This is the leftover bit. Very carefully with a newer, and if not brand new knife, I can cut that right off. Looks like a key with a little divot on top. Anyways, that's supposed to go straight down through the hole. Doesn't actually catch on anything, but it looks cool. At least as of right now. If you don't clean it off, that attachment point quite enough, it's not going to slide in. So that's partly why I wanted to show you carefully cleaning it. That little divot's going to stick down there. And you'll see here it gets put upside down because that's the pin that you pull, apparently, to take the parts out. So I'm just giving you a heads up. And these are breaker bars, and they go like so, opposite to opposite. They don't go both handles on one side or both excuse me, or both heads on one side. Now this one, excuse me, gets bent, but to make sure that I do this right, because it's a box with a flap to the side. Do that and do that to get those two sides done. Now this has got to fold up against, again, against the cut, 90 degrees, which I did with my forceps here, and that line, that etched line in there, makes that way easier. So then you end up with it like that, with the L shape and the box shape. So like this shows, you would put the bars in, that catches them, you just put the pin in, and that keeps the bars from being able to get out. That's how it is, that's how it is. Now I've already gone through and tested and made sure I folded this piece right here, and I folded this mud flap right there, just to show, because of the way this is, to get this to go correctly, because this actually gets folded down. What do I mean by that? This is one piece where, for whatever reason, they put the etching on the opposite side. So you're not folding into the etch line. You're not folding it up into the etch line, you're folding it away. And you do that because when you look at this right here, it shows that the thicker part right here is on this side and the L cuts underneath. So that's the reasoning behind that. Now I put this in, it doesn't quite cover the whole thing. And again, I'm folding it away from or underneath. So this is going down like so, nice and straight. I can take this tool to make sure that that's flat as well. So like so, loosen that up, done. Going with this piece, this folds into the cut. I put it right in here. And actually with this one, what I did was I put the more solid end inside. With the groove towards the front. Then I can take my razor blade and just go 90 degrees, and there's enough, I don't know, retention or whatever, that all the parts fold up exactly the way that you want. Sorry, I'm not showing that as well, but works pretty good. What I've got left now is this kind of odd box in the back. For whatever reason, this one, I have to get all the parts, there we go. This doesn't get the two flaps. Instead, you've got to fold this. And to do that on here, you got to loosen this up enough to flip this. And they get it will get folded into the crease. Again, take my razor blade, 90 degrees. And I'm doing this partly to protect these two little nubs at the side. That's what the pieces, the two other metal parts go into. I'm gotta lean over a little bit more to let you guys see this. My apologies. There we go. Like so, underneath, 90 degrees. So that's that. And then these are tougher to deal with than I thought, but there are your little, there's your notch there. However, if you look here, it's not going to be square up. You're going to glue this together, and this will require super glue. But you'll glue this together and it will be in an odd shape. Oh, I got to clean that nub off the back. But that goes up against the back of that, so you will want the edges to be nice and flat. You don't want to try and glue against this nub. And I will get to this. Surprisingly hard to hold on to it with the file or the the tweezers, the forceps. Call them forceps because I was or still am to some degree, a scientist, and that is what they're called. And I was told by other people in the past, call them forceps, not tweezers, or get in trouble. For what that's worth. So anyways, there are all those parts prepped. I want to get those glued on. So I will take my super glue, just add a little glue on there. Doesn't matter which one, they are identical. What matters is that you put it on square and you put the rounded edge up. That seems kind of stupid. How else are you going to put it on with that notch there? But that's how I'm going to say it. That's a little bit more glue than I wanted. And that just fell off. So, before I go find that, let's get this one on. Yes, they are as difficult to put on as they look. It glued to my finger, but it won't glue to the metal. It will glue to anything but itself. There, for now. Now to find the part that fell on the floor, because they're always so easy to find. Actually, this one was. But I'll need to put a little bit more glue on this end. And I am sorry for the noise in the background if it's annoying. It's my dehumidifier. I've been using it. Summer has been very humid here. So, this way. Just make sure it's square, even if it is going in a slot, it still has some movement. Now, I'm not going to do this, but GP3-1, which is one of the rear light assemblies, would go in there, but you want to paint that first before you put it in. Just as an aside. Now, let's get this all put together. This is dried out, dried enough. Put this in. The pin goes with the flat down. Now looking at it, the problem is there is actually some flash in there. I just pushed the pin through. That takes care of that. There. So that's assembled. Again, you can raise it up and down. I would suggest finding whether you want it up or down and going with that. Now we'll glue it on the truck. Put some glue inside there. Remember the nubs. But it just slides right in there, no problem. So that's glued in nicely. Next we want to take and put this on the corner. Similar to that, we want this. This is bent a little odd compared to what we had over there. There we go, square. I am putting some glue, some super glue on the edge so that I can place this and then just Just gluing it right up in the front corner. Right like so. Next, I'm going to do the easy part first. Take the longer piece here. Again, make sure that in this particular one, you want to make sure that the bottom is burr free. Because it's going in the slot and you don't want it pushing out on one side or the other of the slot. Just loading up a little glue on it and then putting it right in, straight up and down. That's it. Boom, done. This one is going to take a little bit more work. You do not in this one have to have the bottom filed, but for it to fit, but you want it to look good. So once again, you know, for my next set of videos, I think I'm going to try and find a way to put this camera so it's more over my shoulder. So I'm pushing my arms way out to get it under the camera. And it does make it distracting, so. I'm sure it's distracting for you while trying to watch it as well. So I've put some glue underneath the short straight part that's going in the corner, and then next to it, or on the back side of this part going in. There you can see the glue. There you can see the part falling. There you can see me getting loaded with super glue everywhere. You want to glue that on and then make it straight, make sure it's straight up and down, and then it's good. As like that. Now I'm going to flip this over carefully. Probably going to have to hold this so I can show you what I'm doing. I'm going to take this right here, and this goes right there as per the indicators on the instructions. So right here. So before I do that, because that's going to get in the way, what I'm going to do is take the small box for the not crowbars, for the tanker bars. I'm going to put the glue on that. And I'm going to put that on here. Now you'll notice that it's put right there. So the only way that's going to work is if you put the flap to the absolute closest to the edge of the trailer here. This thing has to be right up on this lip, because that's what these bars basically lay across, is that lip. And then you put in one tanker bar in this direction, and one tanker bar in the opposite direction, so head one way and that the other. What I'm going to do is just slide that in. To show what it should look like. Turn this way. I'm doing it upside down, my mistake. You want to have it with the key going up, like what the instructions show. Now, the problem is the key is actually mobile. So, on the bottom only, just to keep it clean, I'm going to take and put a little bit of super glue right there. Just to glue that in there, so then when I lift this and turn this over, and put this on, and it goes on this way. It will stick out that little bit so that the person can pull the pin, but it'll be in there tight. Okay, so now that I've placed it, because it's not going to match up with the markings. This one goes in the right spot there. This goes a little bit farther for whatever reason. Then I'll take a little bit of glue, put it underneath, and glue that on. And there it is. Then I'm going to take, here's the piece right here. This is the hanging at the bottom. So the two pieces that were glued on are the top flanges for putting this on, and this gets tucked carefully under here. So that spacing there means that that can also come close to touching that as well. But you want to put glue on either one of those legs. Make sure it's up against this bottom bar here for the trailer, so it's as low as it can go, so to speak. Now, gluing this on can be a bit because you don't have a whole lot of oh, it is glued, it's just not sticking yet. Not a lot of surface area to stick it to, so you got to wait till it starts to set. And hopefully, like, unlike me, you're not gluing your finger to it. That's the problem, is every time I set it, there we go, I'm grabbing my finger. But anyways, that's now in place, so you can paint up that rear light, stick that in there. Now we've got two things left to do. One, you can see that this has well, not a slot, but it has a, I'm going to call it a pin. That's not quite right, but it sticks in right here. You can see that right there and right here. There are slots. These go right in there. Nothing fancy. Just grab the part, get some super glue on it, slide it in. And then just make sure that it's 90 degrees, not sticking up too high. So, it does take a little bit of work. And the right angle. I got to go off screen for just a sec here, guys. There we go. So I got that in the slot, and then I just make sure that it's pressed up in 90 degrees. And to show you what I mean, tip it sideways, you can see how it's straight up and down. Now, with all that done, we can take our mud flaps, and remember, we're going to be sticking out over the edge on each side. It's not just the width of the trailer. Put some glue on there, and using those as a mark, I push it up against the back, square it up the best I can. Like so. There's one of our rings from on the top. I think we've talked about that several times. Now, this is pushed up. There's another ring. I have to fix those. it's pushed up against the rear foot plate. It's not glued, it's just pushed up against it, and that's your clearance. It's really tight. So when you put them on, I suggest that when you put them on, you run this line. Oh, I did that wrong. That's a little too close to the framing. If you see that it should go right up, but not quite up against the frame, and then right up against that. In this case, not touching that foot. So I'm taking this off. Okay, so you made a mistake. You have to take this off. Clean off the old super glue off of the mating surface, because you don't want that buildup on there. Might take a little bit of work, but that should be good. Oh, nope, there's a raise there. And that won't work. Use whatever tool you can to remove that glue. Just because then it keeps from raising the part up and causing things to not sit straight. You made a mistake. Okay, well, how do we recover from that mistake? At this point, even though it's super glue, it's not completely cured. It still has a little bit of flexibility to it, so it should be easier to work with. Yeah, that's much better. Just make sure that that's all out of there so you have a nice smooth fit. Let me put that on there again. Yep. Just put the glue where you need it. That part sticking over the end doesn't need any glue, so don't worry about that. And again, go on, see where the mark is on there. Put the piece on. And I'm leaning it back too much, so there. Leaned it forward properly. There we go. There we go. Now these are flaps, so they're not going to be perfect, but this is an idea of what it will all look like when it's done. Now I'll have to just glue these back together to repair them, but that's step 17. See you for step 18.